everyone. We'll be starting in just a moment, but while we wait for a few more people to join, we encourage you to use our chat feature, which will be on the right-hand side of your screen, where you can put questions and comments now or anytime during the presentation.
Our team will be answering those as the presentation goes along.
Welcome to Driving Revenue Through Charitable Giving, how your credit union measures the ROI of your philanthropy. I'd like to start by introducing Eric and Miriam, co-founders of NetGiver. Miriam brings decades of experience in startups, has an MA in nonprofit business law and policy, as a data-driven strategic decision maker. Welcome, Miriam.
Thanks, Stephanie.
And Eric Berg has spent 20 plus years in brand marketing, customer engagement, brand loyalty, product development. Eric's built product that build revenue, and together these two are the visionaries that co-founded NetGiver.
And I would like to introduce Stephanie Carlson, who comes to us with 20 plus years of financial services experience, both in the credit union as well as an agency partner focused on digital transformation. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. And there's a fourth person on our team. David Kunow is behind the camera as our director and moderator.
Hello, everybody. To get us started, Miriam, what is NetGiver and how does it work?
That's an easy question and a complicated question all in one. So let's start simply. NetGiver is a giving platform. It's a giving platform that makes sure that when a donor makes a gift of $100, the nonprofit gets a gift of $100, which is something that these days is a problem of $18 billion every year in the United States is lost on its way to nonprofits, a growing problem. And this is a problem that credit unions came together and said, we can solve that problem. And so NetGiver is a QSO built for credit unions by credit unions that's really in the business of giving back, of creating and strengthening that emotional relationship between a credit union and their member. It's about revenue generation through member engagement. We have been very fortunate. In 2020, NetQSO named us the Next Big Idea winner. We've also won a CUNA Diamond Award and a Minnesota Technology Award. So we are young, but a credit union-centric organization that's focused on the security and safety of making sure that donations from your members reach their community fully and freely.
So Eric, what are people going to take away from the webinar today?
Yeah, so here's what we hope that our audience takes away from our webinar today. And the first is we're going to take you on a journey, and we're going to talk a little bit about the values that you bring to the table as a credit union and the value of giving. Specifically, lean into giving and that value that we talk about as credit unions and credit union service organizations, the value of giving back. And then we're talking a little bit about how that relates to your brand and how that relates to digital transformation and the emotional connection you have with your members, that member engagement aspect of things, and how that becomes and creates more loyalty, and how that loyalty then drives revenue. So aligning the credit union values that you have as a credit union with the values that your members have. And it starts with what you're already doing. But we're able to talk about it today with NetGiver as a tangible experience, something that is specific to credit unions and to your members.
Stephanie, you've been working with credit unions for a long time. Can you talk about the correlation between members and credit unions when it comes to giving?
Sure. I'm going to start with really why people give. So there's three main reasons that studies have shown. The first one, because it feels good, right? When you give to charity, it stimulates something in your brain that is associated with pleasure and, really that feeling of trust. And second, it makes an impact, right? We all want to be part of something bigger. We love to help people in need, and it makes us feel like we're really making a difference in our communities. And third, not quite as altruistic, tax purposes, and the tax write-off.
So those are the top three things, the top three reasons why people give, right?
Yes, and why credit unions give is not really that all that different. Well, first it might be in your charter, especially if you have a closed fielded membership.
And even those that have taken it out of the close field, they're still giving in different ways to different
Sure,
relationships.
absolutely. It's the right thing to do. Credit unions have always been dedicated to helping their communities. And third, it really supports those corporate social responsibility initiatives that your credit union might be doing now. The new also buzzword, really doing repeatable, quantifiable, measurable community giving, and then sharing that with your members, the community at large, that they know how good you did. And that is a giant part of a lot of credit unions' brands.
Yeah.
That ties to cause marketing as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Another buzzword that I'm hearing a lot from credit unions is focusing on cause marketing, and corporate social responsibility actually is the thing that provides the content there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eric, you're always talking about brand around the office, at conferences, and meetings. Can you give us like a high-level look at brand?
Yeah.
You live brand, don't you?
I do. I live it, right? So look, a brand is a promise, plain and simple, right? So when you make a promise to your customers, to your audience, to your members, and you deliver on that promise, the brand loyalty is built up, right? When promises are kept, loyalty is built. And it's no different than any other relationship that you have in your life, right? Whether it's your family, your spouse, your kids, your friends, whatever it is. When you make a promise to them and you deliver on that promise, then trust is built, loyalty is built, and it continues to grow that relationship, right? So the more that a brand delivers on their promise, that's what strengthens and creates a stronger brand relationship. And credit unions have sort of all-encompassing this people helping people brand promise, right? But it's not really specific, right? It's sort of a broad people helping people kind of thing. Whereas individually as a credit union, you may have a more specific brand promise that you create or that you deliver to your members, right? And when you deliver that brand promise, that more specific one with your members, the goal is to really create that emotional connection between your credit union and your membership, right? Because when it comes to giving specifically, the most emotional thing that your members can do is to give their money away. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but that's really what brand, the overall aspect of what brand is, especially as it relates to NetGiver, your members, and giving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think it's time to show them NetGiver and do a quick demo.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Eric, do you have your phone on you?
I have it right here, man.
Absolutely. So you can walk through this as I talk through it.
Sure.
So when a member opens NetGiver, and that's whether it's on a desktop or on their phone as a downloadable app, when they open NetGiver, it magically rebrands to your credit union so that brand carries through the whole giving experience. So the logos, the colors, the look and feel of it, and the language reflect your credit union and your brand promise. So when a member clicks Get Started, they are taken to a page where they can see a couple of featured nonprofit organizations. These are things that you have control of as a credit union through your dashboard, and we'll talk about the dashboard that you get as a credit union. And you can choose which of these organizations you want to feature. Maybe it's a nonprofit you've worked with in your community over the years. Maybe it's your credit union foundation. You can feature it here, make it easy for members to access, quickly give to, and feel like they've partnered with you in their giving. But it's not just about that. NetGiver is really about you as a credit union being able to support your member in whatever it is that they value. So a member can search through a large database, 1.5 million different 501c3 organizations, search by name, cause type, just scroll through a bunch of them and find the nonprofit that they want to give to and support with a couple clicks of a button. They decide if it's a recurring or a one-time donation, include a memo about who it's in honor for, and then be able to slide and give. And just like that, we can celebrate the donation and be part of that experience. The credit union now is part of every interaction that member has with their charitable gifts. And as Eric mentioned, giving is the most emotional thing you can do with your finances. We'll unpack that and what we mean about that. But now the credit union is part of that engagement. The donation information is tracked for the donor and exportable, so their members have it come tax time. But also think about all the data you as a credit union have about your members and what they care about. You know how much they're giving, where they're giving, and what kinds of causes resonate with them. So maybe you start to use this in some of your marketing, your community relations programs, partnering with different organizations or leaning into certain messaging. This is an opportunity to now better understand your member and meet them where they're at, while also supporting them in their giving.
Around the office, we're always looking for ways to help our credit union partners by making the process of working with NetGiver simple. Stephanie, can you talk a little bit about what credit unions can expect?
Sure. One thing I want to get across as someone who's worked inside credit unions is this is not a heavy lift. This is not going to take a ton of staff time. You don't have to, redirect your team to, be totally focused on NetGiver. This is a plug and play technology. It's super easy to implement. We have people that will help get this done. You don't have to call up your IT folks and have them, spend nights and weekends on this.
It's not a core conversion.
It's nothing like your core conversion. I like to make that very clear. I like to say if you can use an ATM, you can set up NetGiver. It's very, very simple. Just like you saw with Eric, it's also very simple for members to donate to.
Okay, so now let's apply this, right? Digital transformation is changing the way credit unions interact with their members, but it's also changing their giving, right?
Yeah.
So, Stephanie, you've had experience on both sides of the desk, right? Both being in a credit union and as well. So let's talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, well, it brings to mind, billboards, right? So, back in the day, before digital marketing came around, we, put up a ton of billboards, and we sort of cross our fingers and hope that someone would drive by and, take some sort of action. We didn't know. Of course, we still use billboards today, but the majority of our marketing spend is on digital marketing. Why? Because it's trackable. In real time what happened with your message, who saw it, what they did with it. It's not that different today with charitable giving, now through NetGiver. Another example of transformation is your big check photo, right? I know all of you do this. You get the big check written out to one organization, your staff, has a nice photo op, which is great. Any giving to the community is wonderful. But we're not sure anymore if members really care about that big check. They've seen them in other banks and other companies. It really doesn't resonate.
It's not unique. It's not unique anymore, right?
Yeah, they're not involved in it, right? NetGiver provides a way to have that personal one-to-one experience. They can select the charities they care about. And as Miriam's going to show a little bit later, their money is going to go a lot farther than that big check amount that you just made. They can pick charities that mean something to them, and it is going to create member engagement in a way that you have not seen before, because this is all about their emotions. I'm just going to give a little personal story of when I was in credit union.
Okay.
So I was in my office, and a member knocked on my door. And they do that. They like to come in and chit chat once in a while. And this woman was at the door, and she said, "I have a question for you." She goes, "I want to know how how this credit union selects who we're going to donate to." And I was like, "Well, I'm not sure. It's probably a combination of maybe leadership and the community development team." And she said, "Well, I think this is bunk." Her word was bunk. And I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "I don't care about these organizations. So how do I get mine front and center?" And, I told her, of course, I would tee this up at the next staff meeting, but it got me thinking, well, how can she think that we're going to be able to support all the organizations that our thousands and thousands of members, value? It seemed like an impossible task. But now after working with NetGiver, it is not an impossible task. You absolutely can do that. And make sure that your members are getting engaged in their giving through their credit union and, donating to causes that they truly care about.
Because that's becoming more and more expected of companies and brands these days, isn't it? To align with people's values and to be part of that decision. So I'm seeing it across all industries, from clothing to retail to banks who are doing this.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
If you have any questions, feel free to comment them in the live chat to the right at any time, and we will try to answer them during or after. So feel free to do that. Eric, since personal connection seems to be so important, how is this being adopted currently with great success?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of examples right now of people doing good corporate social responsibility, right? Years ago it was Newman's Own salad dressing, right? And the products that they had and all the profits went back to charity, and that was good. But more and more and more companies are doing it now. In fact, it's kind of the trend, and not even the trend, just for like the way it's going to be moving forward from this point. And Aspiration Bank has done this as well. And Aspiration Bank is a newer bank out of California. They're a neobank. They're part of the group of banks that are marketing to the younger generations, the Gen Z, the younger millennials, and they're actually doing quite well. Let's watch this video real quick on Aspiration Bank, and then we'll talk about some of their successes.
Millions are leaving big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, and Citibank. Here's why. When you deposit your money in a traditional bank, it could end up building oil pipelines, mining for coal, or drilling in the Arctic. So if you're concerned about the planet, give your money something good to do. Make the move to green with Aspiration and join the thousands each week who are switching to save their dollars and save the planet. Sign up today at aspiration.com.
What gets me about that is that this commercial and so many others I've seen from Wells Fargo, Chase, they're taking the credit union story. They're telling the credit union story that credit unions have always owned. And they're doing it because they have to do it and because it's trendy.
And it's working, right? I mean, Aspiration Bank at the end of 2021 had $100 million in revenue, just being a few years old. That's a 584% year-over-year growth from 2020. And even more maybe remarkable, out of that $100 million, $79 million of it was gross profit. So you take a look at this and you go, okay, so they're leaning into the values, they're leaning into the emotional connection. And it just goes to show that emotion creates loyalty and loyalty drives revenue. And that's really what we're trying to get at here is what are the tools that we can bring into the credit union space that give credit unions the ability to create that emotional connection with their members in a way that doesn't mean that the members go someplace else, where that emotional connection creates that loyalty and they stick around. And even furthermore, how do we take and provide a message to the Gen Zers and the younger millennials and people that aren't yet aware of what a credit union is or are being marketed to by Aspiration Bank and by the other banks that are trying to sort of hone in on the credit union philosophy?
Miriam, can you please unpack the idea of loyalty creating revenue, and what does this mean for credit unions?
Sure. I think I'm going to stick with sort of the focus that Eric was starting with, that loyalty comes with emotion. And when we think about emotion and financial decisions, it's sort of interesting to explore when that emotion actually takes place. So when you take out a mortgage, your first mortgage, the emotion doesn't happen with the mortgage itself. I know from firsthand experience recently, the emotion comes from the home you get from the mortgage, not from the act of the mortgage itself. Same thing with a car. When you take out an auto loan, it's not the loan that you're feeling good about or feeling safe about. It's the car that gets you to work and your family around safely that brings you the emotion and that comfort. So financial decisions in of themselves don't carry emotion with the financial product. It carries it with what that product buys. With giving, it's absolutely the reverse. Emotion, you talked about the warm fuzzies, the feel good that happens when you make a donation. Well, that happens because dopamine starts to fire. The oxytocin's coursing through your body as you're deciding who you're going to give to, how much you're going to give. And then when you actually make that donation, that's the high point of the emotion. It's that making of the donation that carries through then and ties you together to that experience and that financial decision. And being part of that emotional decision, being part of that emotional financial decision helps to create and strengthen that bond, that loyalty, making stickier members. And when we talk about sticky members, we talk about them being fully vested, fully engaged, having more than one product, whatever you might call it, more than one product with the credit union.
Which is what you want.
Absolutely what you want. And what we are trying to help support, and what we're seeing is that the most loyal donors are also the most loyal members. NetGiver donors have an average of 4.7 products with their credit union.
Wow. I'm sure most of you out there might agree that that's a pretty high number. I think on average it's like 2.2 to 2.7 products per member. So that number should make people sit up and take some notice. I know that you told me about a study from Washington University.
Yeah, it's interesting what's happened over time. There's the study out of Washington that really exemplifies this. There's been a shift over time, and only expedited because of the pandemic, where individuals of all generations are starting to care more and more about the values of companies that they do business with, and doing proactive research on the values. So this is why we see the Toms and the Warby Parkers being so successful. Bombas socks. Holy cow, what a success story. And this study showed that 82% of consumers will pay more for brands that align and share their values.
Wait, 82% will pay
More for a product.
For the same product. Okay, all right.
Now, what really got me, though, is that 43% said they will pay double. Now, we don't think you should start doubling
the loan rates. No, probably not doubling loan rates. But I think what it means, though, is that people, your loyal members, aren't going to shop.
They're not shopping anymore.
Or they're not going to get pulled
based
away.
on their wallet. They're voting with their wallet, and loyal customers aren't comparing prices. They're caring about the values of companies, and they're caring about whether they live their brand promises. So loyalty really wins.
Yeah. Miriam, we've talked about loyalty, but let's talk more about how much money people give to charity every year. And do they have a lot of money when they give? Are they super rich, or who all gives?
Well, that's what we call it, NetGiver, the giving journey. And so let's talk about the average person donates $737 a year to charity. And they support, on average, about 3.5 nonprofits regularly. So they're involved, they're giving. But this starts with people of David's generation who are donating the $25 for their friend who's running in a race, or the $50 to the puppies in the park, or the $10 to the cause on the street, right? This is such an ingrained part of their DNA that they're starting to give it, and they're not even claiming the majority of this on the taxes. It's just part of them. But as they go through life, those amounts are going to shift and change, similar to like the buyer's journey, right? You start with one product, you're a savings account, and you grow through your financial journey. So the Gen Z is going to start donating, the $500 gifts, the $1,000 gifts, start to be more philanthropically minded, understand how it affects their taxes as well. And so that only grows over time to the point where David's going to be able to donate a yacht to the nonprofit of his choice when he becomes CEO of a company. And being part of that financial journey is being part of that emotional transaction, that emotional journey as well. And that's something that credit unions have always really been a part of, is being part of the emotional life cycle that people go through. And with NetGiver being a QSO and exclusive to credit unions as well, that's something that just banks can't touch. The NetGiver members get to choose the charities they want to support, and with the support of their credit union.
Well, and caring about causes that members care about certainly does create the emotional connection, and certainly makes a big difference when you start talking about going from 2.2 accounts, a checking account, a savings account, to 4.7 accounts, 5 accounts. Now you're talking about checking account, the savings account, a credit card, a line of credit, investment services, right? So you're talking about being that fully vested member, right? That sticky member that we're getting to, and that's really what, as NetGiver, we're leaning into, really trying to take those members and make them as sticky as we possibly can, create the loyalty that we're looking for out of those members, so they're coming back to us, back to the credit union, their credit union, time and time again, to do the business that generates the revenue for the credit union.
Keep those questions coming in the chat window. Stephanie, what challenges have credit unions faced that NetGiver is going to help solve?
One challenge is really helping to understand their members. Credit unions have done the most amazing job engaging members over decades. But NetGiver really provides another level of data and psychographics about your members. It's really going to take you from that engaged member to just hopping up a level. And it's really, instead of getting into your member's head, it's getting into their hearts. When you let them select causes they care about and you support them in that, that creates a level of engagement, like I've said a few times now, that we have never seen before.
And more authentic, right?
Absolutely.
Callahan and Gallup just talked about this. 70% of people make their final decisions on emotion. 30% go through the logical checklist. So when we're trying to sell a relationship to a credit union member on numbers and facts and stats to their head, we're only targeting about 30% of the decision makers, right? I have done a lot of research on this, and actually, we've looked at how people make decisions, and really what it comes down to is that every decision we make is emotional. The thing is that only about 30% of people really apply the kind of logic that is necessary to analyze the way that we're currently selling most of the products and services through credit unions. So instead, sell to the heart.
Yes.
Miriam, can you talk about matching?
Yeah. So matching campaigns from the nonprofit's perspective is a fantastic way to of course, get greater impact. You've seen various campaigns where donors get excited and engaged because there's an opportunity to have their donation matched. And Fortune 500 companies and companies of all sizes are joining this, of saying, okay, we're going to put together matching programs because this creates a shared value, a camaraderie of coming together towards a urgent or excitement, purpose, all towards the same goal. And so with NetGiver, it's really easy to work on that emotional connection by matching your members in what they care about and doubling your impact. So I'm going to unpack those two separate things. So matching your members can happen like this. In your dashboard that Stephanie mentioned with the data around how your members are giving, where they're giving, you can also see a list of all the donations that have happened to the different organizations, how much was given. And you can, as a credit union, make a choice about whether it's a campaign or an ongoing thing about matching those gifts. So maybe you decide that we're going to match all of our members for this month, we're going to match all of their donations at 1x. And you then fill the shopping cart and you have control over how much you're going to match. But maybe you work with a nonprofit and you say, okay, we'll support all of our members and match them in what they care about, but we'll double match to this nonprofit, or we'll double match to all donations to our foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We've got our members' backs in what they care about, but we're going to ask them to partner with us in this as well. And with a couple clicks of a button, you can match 100% of the donation, 50% of the donation. You have control, and whether it's 2 donations, 5 donations, or a couple hundred, you easily are able to make those gifts. Whereas previously, you probably have to work with your finance department, write a couple hundred checks, send a couple hundred envelopes with postage stamps, take care of all the reconciliation. But here, everything is tracked and recorded for people. And that is where then the double impact happens, because you come together with your member now and made a choice together. So you have maybe a $10,000 budget for your gift. And previously, we're going to look at Credit Union A. Credit Union A takes that $10,000 and they write a big check, and they
stand behind the big check. They stand behind it, take a picture behind the giant check. Yep, okay.
And
great.
they share it with a nonprofit, which absolutely is appreciated and valued and makes an impact to that nonprofit. But that picture maybe gets a couple likes, maybe gets a share, and it's out of members' minds like that. The impact is fantastic for the nonprofit, but what is the impact for the members? Credit Union B uses NetGiver to come together with their members and take that same $10,000 that they have budgeted and match it to their members' donations. And that $10,000 check now becomes $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 in the community, because members have come together. And maybe instead of one nonprofit receiving the donation, it's hundreds of nonprofits receiving a donation, and all supported because the credit union wants to come together and partner with their members. So Credit Union B's impact is doubled or tripled or quadrupled. And of course, the impact continues when then the member feels, oh, the credit union supported me and what I cared about to my nonprofit, my kids' booster club, my pet rescue.
Well, you're matching hundreds of your members, right? So it's not just one charity, right? Mm-hmm. Not just one check. it's hundreds of members getting involved. It's hundreds of nonprofits being involved, and all because you're donating the same amount that you would if you just wrote the big check and sent it to one organization.
And members are loving it.
Yeah, they really are. And the average, so one of the measurables that we have in marketing now is open rates of emails. And we look at that, and we'll just take the open rates of emails and talk about that for a second here. The average open rate for an email in the financial world is 17, 19%, something like that. Just under 20% of those emails you send out get opened by your members in most cases. When NetGiver partners with our credit unions, and we send out an email about the fact that NetGiver is available for our members to be able to use, credit union partner members be able to use, the open rate is closer to 35%, right? We're not talking about a loan. We're not talking about anything we're trying to sell them. We're talking about supporting them in their giving. And so the open rates are, we've seen it as high as 42%, right? When we're talking about NetGiver to membership, right? So it's really powerful when it comes to that. And then when we send out an email that confirms that a member has made a donation.
We call those the woot woot emails.
Okay. Yep. So we send out that confirmation email. 84% of those emails sent out are opened. So it's an 84% unique open rate, which is obviously really, really good. But that's not even the most impressive part. The most impressive part is when our credit union partners match their members' donations, and we send an email out to their members that their credit union has matched their donation. Their credit union logo is there on the email. It says, congratulations, your donation has been matched by your credit union. The open rate on those emails is 91%, which is obviously really strong open rate. And that's because members care about the fact that they have had their donation matched by their credit union, and that is part of this loyalty, that leaning into the emotional connection, leaning into the loyalty, supporting what your members are doing, and it's proven in that they're engaged with that relationship because of the matching that was done, a 91% open rate. So you pair that with other services that you offer for your members now it's not just all about, hey, get a loan, get a credit card, get investment services. Now it's about sprinkling in, hey, we're matching your donation. Hey, we're living our brand promise of people helping people. Hey, we're involved in the community. Let us show you how. Go ahead and give, and we'll match that donation. So that makes a big difference and can create a better return on your investment for the products and services, because now your members are loyal, they're emotionally engaged, and you're giving smarter with the dollars that you're giving away as a credit union too. So emotion creates loyalty, and loyalty drives revenue. So Miriam, recently we just finished a giving season, and there was a match that occurred, and you had an interesting conversation with a donor and a credit union member, right?
I was really appreciative through the giving season, and actually long after. I've had a lot of conversations with members and nonprofits who have just been so excited about the commitment they've seen from the credit unions and some of the excitement around the matching campaigns. But one member in particular reached out, a member of 3 different credit unions, is a true blue credit union member, and I don't know that she'll ever vary from that, because what she shared with me was that when she saw NetGiver, it exemplified exactly why she belongs to credit unions, why she will not go to a bank. It showed her what she believes all the time, is that credit unions have her back, and they care about her and her community and causes and values, and she became really passionate about this. She started talking to other credit unions that she knows. She started talking about NetGiver with nonprofits and other members, and just really getting jazzed. And that we've seen that with credit union members, both about NetGiver, but also about your credit unions. Members want to engage and want to be loved and love you. And so it was a real joy to listen to this member and be part of that experience, that she was saying NetGiver is a tangible way of exemplifying the credit union difference. Mm-hmm. And that was just a treat. And I look forward to so many more of those calls from different members.
All right, so it looks like we're coming up on time, and we want to be respectful of everybody's schedule. So Eric, can you do a quick recap?
Sure. So let's recap what we talked about today, right? So we want you to be able to, as a credit union and as credit union executives, to be able to own the giving relationship with your members. Own that relationship, right? Double the impact with your community by matching your members' donations. We want to optimize your unique value proposition, which is that emotional connection that you have with your members. And loyal members turn into loans and credit cards and mortgages. So leaning into that loyalty. Takeaway there, emotion creates loyalty, and loyalty drives revenue.
So everybody, what's one key takeaway you want a credit union to remember?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I've been in your chair. I know the pain on taking on a new initiative. This is not a heavy lift. It's easy to implement, and it really can be a game changer competitively. You get to know your members on a whole new level, and really you can take that member engagement that you've developed over years and really take them to a new place. You've spent a lot of time with focus groups and surveys and things like that to get to know your members, but now you can understand from the data you're going to receive what they care about, what causes they're into, and you can make that part of your marketing initiatives and make your market smarter.
I'll go. I think the thing I want people to take away is that all generations, my generation, and certainly the younger generations, really care that the businesses that they choose to work with, that the business cares about us, and that they do so genuinely, not just because they have to, because it's a requirement.
Yeah. Well, and I think the takeaway is that, doing good is good business, right? I mean, that's what we've been leaning into as credit unions and as credit union service organizations for a long time. And when it comes to helping your members give back and creating that loyalty and that emotional connection, it's good for business. It drives revenue to the bottom line because you're connecting with them about things that they care about first, and then they're your top of wallet to them when they need to come in for a
And you can
service.
do all this without dramatically increasing your charitable giving budget.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's a big takeaway. So we're excited about, as you can tell, we're excited about NetGiver. We're excited about what we can do to help credit unions engage with their members and really create that emotional connection, create that loyalty. We're very honored that you joined us today. Thank you so much for doing that. Our contact information is on the screen right now, so you can feel free to reach out to us with any questions you might have after this webinar is over with. We will also connect with you and find a time to show you a one-on-one demo specifically of what NetGiver can do in your community with your credit union and helping your members. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you soon.